Hi folks, Chris from Buffalo Creek Waterfowl here. Going to do just a quick review on mainly this Radical Firearms 458 SOCOM upper I recently purchased. That is going to be hopefully it's going to be my rifle that I deer hunt with this year, mainly on my property. I own a little bit of property that, it's pretty heavily wooded. As far as brush goes, it's not too bad, but thing is just a small plot, and really, I've already got yardage markers for bow hunting out there. In all reality, the longest shot that I'll be making is probably 50 yards max. Last year I made a shot on a deer, that's probably 20 yards. The year before that I made a shot on the deer, probably about 40, and that's going to be about the max, really. I got lucky on the one this year because it came right up to the stand, went down the creek, got a drink of water, and came my way. But I want to talk to you about the upper. I want to talk to you why I decided to go this route. Been using a Remington 700 308, which will still be my primary go-to rifle to deer hunt with. But when I'm on my property, or any property that I'm going to be deer hunting, and we're looking at inside 100-yard shot, I think I'm gonna go with the SOCOM. Now that's yet to be determined truly, because I have not had this to the range yet. I hadn't put any rounds down range with this completed rifle. What we got here is a Palmetto State Armory Lower. We got a Geissle SSAE 2-stage trigger. It's 3.5 pound 2-stage trigger. It's awesome for hunting. This lower I actually built for a different upper, and I recommissioned this lower for the SOCOM. I built an upper to do some varmint hunting with and chambered in 223 Wild. Wasn't real happy with it, so I sold the scope. Still got the upper. I'm not going to get rid of the upper, but decided to sell the scope to purchase a new scope and purchase the 458 SOCOM upper. And several manufacturers are making 458 SOCOMs. Brownells has got a conversion kit where you can buy the barrel, the bolt. You can buy a whole kit that includes a little bit of everything. But then you got I think it's CMG. I know Rock River is making a 458. I just didn't want to go through the whole purchase an entire gun thing, considering I already had a good lower with a good trigger and good features that I have been using, that I know the lower's solid and works good. And with Radical Firearms, you can get this upper as low as $429 through Primary Arms, and that's a complete upper with the bolt carrier group and charging handle. Now I did take the factory charging handle off and replace it with a BCM large latch, just to help out, for clearance with the scope. Optics, I went with a Vortex 1-4x24. It's got a 30mm tube. Also went with a Vortex cantilever mount. It has the target turrets on it, which I think will come in handy, and it's an illuminated reticle. It is the TMCQ reticle, and you can see right there kind of what that reticle looks like. You know, it's kind of a busy reticle, but the thing is, in low light situations with that illumination, it's going to be great. And also with the one power, you can shoot both eyes open. Parallax is preset on this scope at 100 yards, but that doesn't bother me. I can still get, you know, from just playing around with it, what I can tell, I can still get good both eyes open if needed. Like on the deer last year at 20 yards, you know, the lowest I can get the scope on my 308 that goes 3.5 powers, and I mean 3.5 powers at 20 yards, you're looking at nothing but deer hair. So it's, you know, this 1 to 4 power scope will really help me out with the close in stuff. Back to the lower, then we'll get to the upper. It's standard carbine. I do have the Magpul ACSL stock. Gives you a lock-in option to make it rattle a little bit less. It's got a good cheek weld on it. As far as grip goes, just standard Magpul MOE grip. Magpul trigger guard. You know, nothing fancy other than the trigger, and I am running a JP Enterprise spring, and I do have an assortment of buffers that I'm going to try out with this. Right now there's a T3, which is a tungsten buffer made by Spikes Tactical in it right now, and I also have the T2 tungsten spikes, or Spikes tungsten 2-weight reticle, not reticle, excuse me, buffer that I can try out. Plus I have just the like a factory Palmetto standard weight buffer. So I got a few different buffer combos that we can go with to try it out and see what happens. Radical recommends using a metal mags. Now this one, I actually contacted Radical and got some specs about the upper before I purchased it. Then I also contacted them again after I purchased it, and those guys are great at Radical. They gave me some prep work to do when I unboxed it, and they also sent me this mag for free, which this is one of their big bore mags. You know, right there it's got the measurements for the 50 Beowulf, but it works hand in hand with the 458 SOCOM. You can see they've just modified the feed ramp part of the mag, and also the little ears there to make it feed that big bullet just a little better. Also, they sent me, you know, they sent me the mag for free, and then they sent me a couple O-rings for the extractor for free, which I've already put one of the O-rings for the extractor on there. Really what the O-ring is going to do, it's just going to create a more positive grip on the casing of the bullet when it goes to, when it chambers it, you know, and then also when it's extracting it. That way it can get a hold of it and pull that thing out of there. I mean, because really you're taking a, you know, AR-15 platform that's made to shoot 223, 5.56 ammo, and you're, you know, feeding this through it, which is, you know, quite different from a 223. That's for sure. I'll get into the ammo in just a second, but you're looking at a 16-inch barrel. It's got the Radical Firearms Panzer brake, which is pretty awesome. It's a 15-inch Radical handrail, which has just got the Picatinny on the end here on both sides and the bottom, and of course across the whole top. Then everything else is key mod if you want to add something in there, but you know, for me, the only thing I'm probably going to be putting on there would be bipod mount, and you know, with that I'll probably have a sling mount, as I do have some sling mounting stuff back here in the stock that I hadn't put on it yet, but I'll need that for hunting. And you know, this setup, you know, it's perfect as far as length, and the collapsible stock, being able to get in and out of the stand. You know, like I said, if you are in tight brush, you can get in and out of there a lot easier. You don't have a really, you know, like a long barrel sticking up over your shoulder or anything. And then also, you know, with that big, you know, 45 caliber bullet, it's going to be more forgiving, you know, in brushy areas and thick areas, and also, you know, ballistically, you know, you don't have to worry about the bullet travel, or, you know, if you're shooting a bullet that's 2,600 feet a second, 3,000 feet a second, you know, weighing 150 grains or 160 grains, you know, just bouncing all over the place. You know, these here, this ammunition is it's Black Butterfly. It's a 300 grain Barnes projectile. I'll show you right there what it is. Yeah, 300 grains TSX Barnes projectile in that one. What I love about it is you're looking at about 1,800 feet a second, but you're still getting 2,500 foot-pounds of energy with this round. So I'm achieving the same energy as I would be with a 308. I'm using, except I'm getting less speed and a lot bigger bullet. So, you know, for inside 100, this thing ought to be right on the money. A little bit more. I know there's not a whole lot of stuff about the 458 SOCOMs out there. You know, I will shoot this thing and do a review on how it shoots, and I will chrono the ammunition. Right now I've got just 2 boxes of these. I'm hoping, you know, I you know, looked at some ballistic charts with a lot of different loads, and you know, this Black Butterfly, this particular round that I bought, it just seems phenomenal. The numbers do. You know, we'll find out once we shoot it, but the numbers are phenomenal on it. You know, but the 458 SOCOM is not cheap. You know, as far as ammunition goes, it's hard to get a hold of sometimes. You've just about got to order it online. I ordered this online. You know, but it's a very dynamic round. A lot of guys use this to hog hunt with. A lot of people love to use them suppressed because you can get ammunition, you know, anywhere from 140 grain bullets that are traveling 3,000 feet a second almost, all the way up to 500 grain subsonic ammunition that would be awesome for a suppressed close range hog rifle. I'm not a big fan of the subsonic ammunition. I just don't believe it has enough hit. I don't think it transfers enough energy into the target. I think you definitely got to break the sound barrier, you know, at least a few hundred feet a second to really get that energy up, in my opinion. And I think hopefully with this particular load here, we're gonna be able to do that. But you know, they recommend the metal mags. I have seen where guys have used the other mags. They totally recommend against P mags, you know, which is kind of not cool because I've got a bunch of P mags. But I have seen guys do tests with the hex mags. And I have a few hex mags. I think they're all FDE, but I do have a few hex mags. And supposedly they work well. Got a few Troy battle mags too that I might try out. But you know, as far as modifying a mag, I mean, you can see what they did. Let me try to get that to focus. But you know, I mean, all they did is just shave some stuff down. You know, that would be easily accomplished with a Dremel tool, or even just a file, handheld file. But yeah, so this upper comes, like I said, with a 16-inch barrel. Comes with the Panzer brake, which is a Radical patent, I believe. Looks like it ought to do pretty good as a muzzle brake. That's a 1 in 14 twist. It's got a carbine length gas system, standard gas impingement. I do hear that this projectile performs better in shorter barrels. Ultimately, I think what I would like to do, considering that we have about 2 inches of break here, actually that's probably about 3 1/4 inches by the time you figure screwing it all the way down to the threads. You know, cutting this thing down in the future, having the barrel cut down to about 14 inches, and then having that brake put on there, and having it, you know, fixed, tack welded or something to where, you know, that is a permanent muzzle device. So that would make it legal, because you would definitely, if you cut 2 inches off this barrel, rethread it, put this on there, you'll still have, and permanently affix it, you'll still have 16 inches of barrel length. So you don't have to worry about falling under that SBR category. And that would just make it even shorter. And, you know, from what I hear, ballistically and accuracy, it would perform better. But, you know, that's still to be determined. Like I said, you know, it's probably going to stay in this form that it's in for quite some time. I like it. Don't know of any other than putting a sling on it and possibly a bipod. Bipod's not going to do me any good in a tree stand, so I don't know when I'll do that either. Sling, it's kind of a must, but you know, I just need to get out and shoot it, try the different buffers, you know, and I'll try the JP spring that I actually did put in there. And I might compare it to a factory spring. You know, I just need to do what I can to make it cycle correctly. But like I said, the guys at Radical are a big help. You know, when I talked to them after I purchased the upper, like I said, they sent me a mag for free. They sent me a couple of O-rings for free. They gave me tips on how to just kind of break the action in before you actually start sending bullets downrange. You know, one of the things they told me to do was take a 12 gauge copper bore brush and just clean the chamber real good. Just get all that, because this thing is shipped with in plastic with a lot of oil on it. They don't play with that. You know, there's no rust whatsoever. These things are sealed and packaged and shipped about as good as it gets. So can't complain there. But you know, there is a lot of cleaning you have to do once you get it unboxed and mounted. But pretty much that's it in a nutshell. Like I said, next we'll be doing the next video for this rifle will be chronographing the rounds, see what kind of velocity we're getting, see if they match up to the factory recommendations or the factory specs. And also, you know, we'll be doing, I'll probably get my 100-yard zero, I'll probably get like a 20-yard zero, a 50-yard zero. That's another advantage of having the tactical turrets. You know, I imagine we're going to have a lot of bullet drop, so I can get my dope down pat and click it as quick as I need to, you know, for 20 yards versus 100 yards. So with that being said, there she is, Radical Firearms, complete 458 SOCOM upper, Palmetto State Armory lower with some Magpul furniture, Geissle SSAE trigger, BCM charging handle, JP Enterprise spring, and I imagine it's going to be one of the 2 Spikes tactical buffers that I have. I'm kind of hoping that T3 will stay in there. I think it'll probably shoot smoother, to be honest, but you know, that's still to be determined. Then of course we got the 1-4 Vortex up there. You know, I'm a Vortex fan. I'm a loophole and Vortex, in my opinion. That's where it's at. I've got some Vortex binoculars, Vortex red dot. Got this Vortex scope. So far, I've been very pleased with all. I do have a EOTech, and EOTech's awesome. I don't think, as far as the red dot goes, you know, when you're talking EOTech, you got that hologram. It's awesome. But you know, you're looking at, you know, half the price for a Vortex versus an EOTech, and unless you need the EOTech, you know, it's just overspending, really. And I looked at loopholes hardcore, but the ones with the 1-4 magnification, all I saw was a 1-inch tube. I couldn't find one with a 30mm tube, not in a decent price range anyway. And I just don't really like scopes with a 1-inch tube. I don't think they let enough light in there. I looked hardcore at the Bushnell illuminated 1-4 by 24, but I got a pretty good deal on this Vortex, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go with the Vortex. Got the Viper glass in it, you know, and the reticle better suits me for what I'm using it for. So I'm happy so far. We'll find out once we start spitting bullets down range, though. All right, Chris from Buffalo Creek Waterfowl. The other guys will be involved in the video when we do our ballistic testing and our sighting in of the scope and our accuracy testings on this rifle. Gabe and Chris, the other Chris, they'll definitely be involved. But right now I just wanted to kind of push this out. It's just a little unedited video that I'm doing with my phone. I'm trying to give you guys some close-ups here at the end so you can kind of get an idea of what we're dealing with in the profile of this radical. Other than that, I think it's awesome. And the black butterfly ammunition it seems to be pretty nice too. It comes in an awesome box. I'm really happy with the black butterfly, and those guys are totally cool too. They sent a nice little note with the ammunition when I bought it. That's another thing. Like I said, the ammunition's not cheap. You're looking at $2 and up per bullet, per round. Even plinking rounds are $2. You might get lucky and find some for $1.80 or something like that, but they're not going to be good for anything more than just plinking. But all right, well, that's it. Buffalo Creek Waterfowl out.